Now let's get to the UCLA chancellor being grilled on Capitol Hill over campus protests. Now remember, at the time while this was happening, there was an impromptu encampment that was set up that was subsequently dealt with by the Los Angeles Police Department again. But our dumbass chancellors and leaders of institutes of higher learning refuse to learn the lessons from prior leaders of institutes of higher learning that have gone in front of these idiotic congresspersons and have gotten shellacked by especially right-wing congresspersons who are anti-Semitic themselves, that don't give a fuck about anti-Semitism and have literally defended Nazis openly time and time again, as they sit there and go, do you not care about anti-Semitism on campus, sir? In any case, really stupid, but here it is.
On the UCLA campus, tensions flare.
LAPD doing their jobs for once? What do you mean? Their job is not to brutalize. Their job shouldn't be, in a theoretical democracy, to brutalize peaceful campus protesters for the crimes of saying like what Israel's doing is bad and wrong, protesting against Israel's actions. It's ridiculous.
Yet again over the war in Gaza. Police clashing with pro-Palestinian protesters Thursday, moving quickly to clear a makeshift encampment, turning back hundreds of demonstrators. The occupation of the academic building only lasted hours, but followed another standoff in Washington, where UCLA's Chancellor Gene Block faced tough questions on Capitol Hill over the protests, seemingly unaware of what was happening at his own school.
There is no encampment, and there have been no demonstrations that are problematic.
The university later acknowledging Thursday's clash, saying there is reasonable cause to find that demonstrators' activities are disrupting campus operations. University leaders from Rutgers and Northwestern also faced criticism, mostly from Republican lawmakers, accusing them of being too soft on pro-Palestinian activists.
You decided to negotiate a sweet.
Like, why would you ever go? Do you have to go to these congressional meetings? Just don't go. I don't understand it. What are you doing? Every single university president that literally went prior, like, it is insane to me that you watched literally 3 different presidents lose their jobs. You watched 3 different presidents lose their jobs. Why are you attending these meetings? The Columbia University president went there, okay, and was like, yeah, you're right. I'm going to deal with these disgusting freak pro-Palestinian protesters. And then she turned around and sicked the NYPD on him, a massive stain on Columbia's already marred history, relitigating. Only 2, the MIT president didn't lose their job. You're right. 2 of them lost their jobs because they weren't sufficiently Zionist. I just don't understand it. I don't.
Sweetheart deal with pro-Hamas students and professors who denied October 7th.
Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar singling out UCLA's chancellor over an attack by counter-protesters late last month on a pro-Palestinian encampment.
Why did you not immediately send the police that were standing by?
We tried.
That incident now being investigated by the University of California. UCLA's police chief already removed from his position over the situation.
But you can't deny that there was some anti-Semitic chants at UCLA campus. What was the chant at the top of the hour, that there's a 3-minute handbrake? Is that what you're going to say? Really? Is that what you're going to try? Because you're going to fail.
The protest movement also impacting graduation ceremonies. At Harvard, hundreds of students walking out in protest of the school's decision to bar some students who participated in pro-Palestinian encampments from graduating.
This semester, our freedom of speech and our expressions of solidarity became punishable.
And despite the quiet morning right now, we've learned these demonstrations are far from over. Demonstrators announced yesterday that they're joining colleagues of their union at UC Santa Cruz and going on strike this upcoming Tuesday. They'll also be joining student employees at UC Davis. This will be thousands of them. They say that the school violated their employer rights by using law enforcement to disperse these protesters. Hoda?
All right, Morgan Chesky for us there on the campus of UCLA. Morgan, thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching.
Oh, speaking of campus protests here, before we get to the Brooklyn thing, what was I gonna say? What was I gonna do? There was more I wanted to talk about. Oh, as far as campus protests goes, hey, you guys remember that one guy, the UCLA counter protester that was outed by, remember the a couple things that I need to mention here. 1, UCLA police chief temporarily reassigned in wake of counter protest violence. So that's something that happened. And the other thing that happened is that the man who was identified in attack on UCLA protest encampment has been arrested kid, Edan On, 18, was arrested Thursday and held in lieu of $30,000 in bail, according to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. CNN identified him as one of the attackers in a special report last week. Campus police said On had been seen on video assaulting encampment occupants with wooden poles. Hopefully, more arrests will come, because there were more. Police said arrests came after an investigation that included interviewing victims and witnesses, reviewing security camera footage and publicly available photos from members of the public and the media. Part of the only reason why, for the record, that this kid was arrested was because he was singled out by CNN. Here, what is this?
So CNN's doing the work of the police department. They've identified a few people. I'm going to talk about one right here. This is Edan On of Beverly Hills High School. He's graduating into this month, and then he's joining the IDF. So he's getting a little bit of practice in, it looks like. So they actually talked to their mom, or his mom, and she identified him. But then
this was so funny. His mom outed him and was like, "What do you mean? It's great. That's awesome." Yeah, no, he was there, and I love that he was there, beating the shit out of those like fucking weird Hamas defenders or whatever.
Later on, so I don't know. He was in Israel. He wasn't there. But then on Facebook, she posted, "This is my son." Basically, went to bully the Palestinian students in the tents at UCLA and played the song that they played to the Nakba terrorists in prison. So she was really proud of her son. Now she's saying, "No, that's not him." Now some people have identified her. She has a Beverly Hills catering company. Not positive. I'm not positive, but this is what some people are saying. That's the happy mom. I'm pretty sure I passed this group because they had the mask on, and it was about a quarter mile from where the action was when I was leaving, and then I came back. But I didn't record them, of course, because it was me. Like, there's about 10 of them at that time. I came out, I think, 3 different vehicles. But anyways, but I went back, and one thing I said was that there was a lot of teenagers.
My sister's 17 and 4 of her classmates are graduating and joining the IDF is insane. Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. Dick riding another country's military is so insane because you see them doing genocide and you're like, I need to get a piece of that myself. Yeah. I told you guys, man. I told you guys, Beverly Hills Persians are operating on different playing fields. Like, you have never seen something like this. Okay, no disrespect to the Iranian diaspora, but goddamn, son.
Teenagers there. Some have no doubt that a lot of his friends go to high school with him. They went, did that. So hopefully they're punished before he goes to the IDF. Hopefully UCLA Police Department does their job. Otherwise, I feel like you're gonna have a lot of pro-Pali people show up to their graduation, because it seems like a lot of people from that.
He's Westwood Maxing. Yeah, it is. Many such cases. Israel Katz says, in response to Spain's recognition of a Palestinian state and the anti-Semitic call by Spain's deputy prime minister to not just recognize a Palestinian state, but to liberate Palestine from the river to the sea, I have decided to sever the connection between Spain's representation in Israel and the Palestinians, and to prohibit the Spanish consulate in Jerusalem from providing services to Palestinians from the West Bank. If this ignorant, hate-filled individual wants to understand what radical Islam truly seeks, she should study the 700 years of Islamic rule in Al-Andalus, today's Spain. Israel, once again, has one speed and one speed only, which is, oh yeah, you told us not to be ruthless to the Palestinians. Well, guess what, dude? You're making me be even more ruthless to the Palestinians. Ha! One speed, bro. Yeah, I wonder who did the Inquisition against the Jews in Spain. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Only 48 hours ago, Norway have joined the Spanish initiative to recognize a non-existent Palestinian state. Now the Spanish deputy prime minister is revealing what is her final goal: ethnic cleansing of Jews from Israel. This is literally like, people are hyperventilating because of the insanity that they have designed for themselves. Like, they were so firmly committed to From the River to the Sea being like anti-Semitic and like being genocidal, that now they're just like, no, it is genocidal. And now see, like, Norwegian officials are saying it, or Spanish deputy prime minister is saying it.
Un momento de la historia del mundo en el que hacer lo mínimo es a la vez heroico e insuficiente. Por eso no podemos detenernos. Palestina será libre desde el río hasta el mar.
Wild how the meta is, I'm insane and that's your problem. It's everyone's problem. It's so funny. It's also comical how every time their fifis are hurt, there's a leaked cabinet meeting of every minister conspiring, like, how can we sanction the Palestinian Authority more? Yeah, they literally just have like one note. They have one speed. They have no other way. They have no other way of dealing with this. And the more there's pressure, the more they're like, okay, well, I guess we have to literally kill more Palestinians, I guess. It's like, no, dude, you have to do the opposite. The world is saying, hey, stop killing Palestinians. And they're like, no, wait, what? Sounds like you want me to kill more Palestinians. I'm going to keep killing more Palestinians now. Yeah, just you wait. Anyway, let's get to Donald Trump holding a rally in New York while Biden courts Haley voters. And we watched it. We did a double watch party with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Once again, a good reminder that the Bronx, 16% of Bronxites voted for Donald Trump in 2020. Not exactly a big turnout for Donald Trump, as you can see, evidenced by this aerial shot, 15.9%. Many of which also are not from the Bronx, as we saw in the crowd. The Bronx is like around 70% non-white. This crowd, on the other hand, is 90% white. So wonder where they came from. Dozens of Trump supporters. This was a bigger turnout than Live Aid. Stop lying, bro. This was maximum like 3K. Kai Cenat would be able to literally gap this, 10x this, if he held an impromptu meeting. I'm saying it's 2,000. That's a fake pic. This is the real crowd pic. Pretty good crowd for Trump in the Bronx. This is the Bronx. Biden and the Dems are shaking. I cannot believe how much of a crowd Donald Trump drew. That's crazy. I also can't believe how much he's been tanning and is hitting that Ozempic. I don't understand why they have change we can believe in, I think, posters up. Change we need. I mean, to be fair, yeah, this was the crowd for Kai's PS5 giveaway in Union Square. It's pretty funny. Oh God, Olivia Juliana. A right-wing content creator with over 1 million followers is claiming that photos from Barack Obama's 2008 speech in St. Louis, Missouri are from Trump's speech in Bronx yesterday. You cannot make this stuff up.
This is Trump's speech in the Bronx. This is what it looked like today in the Bronx, New York. This is the bluest of fucking...
Yeah, he's conveniently hiding. It's just weird because, like, one, the Bronx sure looks different, and two, he's conveniently hiding the one part of the footage that would immediately destroy the argument, which is where you will see that it's not Trump, but instead, you know, a Kenyan Muslim man who drew that crowd. What is it? The older millennial? I have to find this. I have to find the original. The older millennial TikTok. Did he delete it? MCU launch in 7 days. He got bullied to take it down. Aw. Trump draws huge crowd in the Bronx. Wow, look at all those people. Look at all those people that are in the Bronx.
He went there as a New Yorker, and I like that he showed his New York pride. And then he ended his speech in a non-political way, although he injected some politics into it, although he said he wasn't going to be political, with just advice for young.
Have you seen the DEI in UCLA med school? Crazy. It's causing failures. Insane. Are you okay?
People. And it was a ride, the ups and downs, and he covered all of the issues.
Yup, DEI is a massive problem at UCLA. What do you mean? What are people saying right now? Up to half of UCLA students, it's Daily Wire, the Free Beacon, the Daily Mail, and look, I looked this up. I Googled UCLA DEI Medical School, and literally the outlets are Free Beacon, Daily Mail, National Review, Outkick, and the Daily Wire. How the does a very targeted, very deliberate attempt to just like, I haven't even looked at this story yet. Okay. I have no idea what this is, but let me tell you, judging by what the people are, who's writing about this, I suspect that it's most likely massaged and in a very biased direction. I have no idea what the it is, but immediately a couple things. When I see this, I see only right-wing journalists targeting the principle of DEI. That in and of itself immediately feels to me like it's a cynical, targeted right-wing attack. Here's the reporter from the Free Beacon, which is a right-wing outlet, by the way. Scoop: whistleblowers at UCLA Medical School say it has dramatically lowered admission standards for minority applicants. As a result, they say 50% of some cohorts now fail basic tests of medical competence. We've obtained shocking internal data. UCLA Medical School hired a new dean of admissions, Jennifer Lucero, in 2020. Since then, the number of students failing their shelf exam standardized tests taken after each clinical rotation has exploded, rising in as much as tenfold in some subjects. That wasn't a coincidence. Race-based admissions have turned UCLA into a failed medical school, said a former member of the admissions staff. We want racial diversity so badly, we're willing to cut corners to get it. This is the story of how that happened. Led by Lucero, who also serves as the DEI czar of UCLA's anesthesiology department, the admissions committee gives Black and Latino applicants a pass for subpar metrics. 4 people who served on it said, while whites and Asians need near perfect scores to even be considered. Committee members who who try to uphold standards are silenced. Two sources said Lucero attacked an admissions officer for raising concerns about an applicant with low test scores. Did you not know African American women are dying at a higher rate than everybody else? She asked. The candidate score shouldn't matter, she continued, because we need people like this in the medical school, which is correct for the record. We are not consistent in the way we apply metrics because these applicants want admissions official email colleagues after the incident. This is troubling. I wondered, the official added, if this applicant had been a white male or an Asian female for that matter, whether he would have had that much discussion. The story is based on written correspondence between UCLA officials, internal data on student performance, and interviews with 8 professors at the medical school, 6 of whom have worked with or under Lucero on medical student and residency admissions. Together, they provide an unprecedented account of how racial preferences outlawed in California since 1996 have nonetheless continued upending academic standards at one of the top medical schools in the country. Here is a PhD, MD student in anthropology at UCLA. I'm a medical student at UCLA, and I can say that this article is making the rounds is absolutely unfair and constitutes a deliberate bad faith attack by right-wing actors within and outside our school. He's a threat on some of the logical missteps and factual obfuscations. The only evidence presented in the article is a shelf exam score and faculty student evaluations, both assessments made of second-year medical students. There are 3 reasons why this evidence is hilariously insufficient. The shelf exam scores are not disaggregated by race, MCAT score, or undergraduate GPA. If they were, I have a feeling a lot of you would be very surprised. The UCLA switched to a compressed 1-year preclinical curriculum in around the same time period discussed by the article. This means that instead of the traditional 2 years of basic science coursework medical students would take before clinical rotations, we have just 1. I would argue strongly in favor of a shortened curriculum, but I won't do that here. However, one drawback is that the decline in second-year shelf exam performance was expected and in line with that seen at other medical schools that have switched to a 1-year curriculum. There has been no change in the minimum standards required to graduate from medical school and get into residency. All students still have to pass every shelf exam with brand new questions written by the MBME on retake, pass step 1, and get a competitive score on step 2. Also, as the Jurek et al. Article would predict, shelf exam scores normalize by the end of the second year at UCLA. The promise of a holistic review isn't that student competence will be unchanged at the start of medical school, but rather that students from diverse backgrounds can be trained into excellent physicians by a committed medical school. This absolutely continues to happen at UCLA, as our 4th-year students had the best match results of any class in the past 10 years, outdoing some schools with higher U.S. news rankings. In summary, UCLA continues to produce excellent physicians as it always has. The only thing that changed is that it's full of unbelievably diverse classes committed to fundamentally transforming healthcare both here and abroad. And that's what scares its conservative critics. But guess what, dude? It doesn't matter, because this is a much more convenient narrative that will most likely get amplified by Elon Musk. Of course it is. Here it is. People will die if doctors misdiagnose patients. 162,000 fucking likes. We are becoming dumber by the second. The fake article, the fake bullshit gets a shit ton more leeway than the actual analysis. Oh, one disagreed chatter. No, it's good. It's good that one chatter came in and was like talking about DEI lies or whatever, or DEI destroying UCLA or something, because then this like incredibly viral piece of misinformation gets debunked in real time, as we did here to the best of our ability. And ultimately, like, this is why community notes are bullshit, by the way, because no one is community noting this and no one is community noting Elon Musk. You can't even fucking do that. God, we are collectively getting dumber and dumber every fucking day, dude. I didn't even know any of this, obviously, but it doesn't even matter. As soon as I see someone be like, DEI is up, it's almost always predicated upon a couple faulty premises. One, the notion that they're like actually giving additional bandwidth and additional allowances, or even creating like a racial draft mechanism. The reason why they would have a more holistic approach to applications of the medical school is very obvious. You don't have to be fucking brilliant to comprehend this. It's because they do need more. We as a society, 1, need more doctors. That's for sure. 2, we need more diverse doctors, as a matter of fact, because of the medical racism that is so institutionalized that one part of the course when you go to medical school is directly talking to a field of non-black doctors about how up it is that historically we have mistreated black patients and still continue to do so. Ultimately, they are not lowering the standards of graduation. They're not at all. So just because they changed the standards of how they evaluate, which led to a shorter time frame, which means that there's going to be some people that are going to have a higher failure rate specifically due to that change, does not change the reality that like ultimately the doctors are putting out are worse overall. But of course, it's much easier to just run along with a racist narrative that automatically presupposes that black and I guess brown Latino doctors are going to be worse than non-black, non-Latino doctors, and especially white doctors, of course. In some of the cohorts, she admitted more than 50% of students fail standardized tests on emergency medicine, family medicine, internal medicine, pediatrics. Those tests, known as shelf exams, are typically taken at the end of each clinical rotation, measure basic medical knowledge, and play a pivotal role in residency applications. Though only 5% of students fail each test nationally, the rates are much higher at UCLA. Failure rates have increased tenfold in some subjects since Lucero took over admissions. The uptick coincided with a steep drop in number of Asian matriculants and tracks the subject. And then, of course, because you can't just say white people, then they use Asians, because everybody understands when you say like, no, white doctors are better. White people, white supremacists, regularly weaponize Asian applicants in a way to still continue reinforcing white supremacist narratives. One professor said that a student at the operating room could not identify a major artery, then berated the professor for putting her on the spot. Another said that students at the end of the clinical rotations don't know basic lab tests and in some cases aren't able to present patients. I don't know how some of these students are going to be junior doctors. Faculty are seeing, dude, the botting has not stopped, by the way. Literally has not stopped. Ay, ay, ay. Poor mods. No, it's funny because like we just increased the follow limit to a day and then we use Fossabot to purge the bots anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Before the bot army can come in and like mass spam shit in the chat, they already get dealt with. Thank you for the free followers, I guess. Medical schools literally would rather just allow people to blame DEI instead of addressing and reforming their curriculum to actually promote self-directed learning, like what is needed for shelf exams. Students literally work all day in a clinic and are expected to study NBME question banks. I'm in medical school and not looking forward to my standardized test season. Of course, med schools aren't lowering their admissions or graduation standards, but even if we take their assumptions to be true, what's the argument? Med school admissions are so insanely high. Are they really saying that a doctor who got a 9.8 GPA is in undergrad is fine, but someone who got a 9.6 GPA is going to kill you in the operating field? This isn't even what's happening, but the standards are insanely high. I know. Ultimately, they're presenting it as though like black and brown students, it's pure racism. So obviously it leaves much to your imagination. There's a lot of holes in this argument that in many instances you will understandably ask about, but many people don't ask these questions and they automatically assume because of racism that like, oh no, black people with like straight C's are being able to get into fucking med school or some shit. Not to say that like a person with straight C's is going to be a bad doctor to begin with. We're not even having that conversation yet, but it's just an assumption overall. Most of this is just trying to create a justification for the racist opinions that you have. Does that make sense? Lucero hasn't been kind of dissenters, blah, blah, blah. It's just like most of the article is just like shitting on this one person who they perceive as the reason for why it sucks. Anyway, I'm glad that we took this brief side trip to DEI lane for a second.